At my parents' 40th anniversary, my hoodie said, "Not quite family." Everyone laughed, even mom and dad. I didn't. I did this instead, right in front of them all. The room went still. Even my sister stopped mid-bite. I had no idea who actually ordered the hoodies. But I knew whose idea it was, and whose name was on the rental paperwork, mine. Ethan Walker. The guy who makes everything a big deal, takes things too personally, and has changed ever since moving to California. Yeah. I remember me. So now I had rented out a ranch near Lake Tahoe, hired a local chef for catering, paid for flights, car rentals, a kids' activity coordinator, cases of wine, and, surprise, personalized gifts for every family member. I even made a slideshow of old photos so we could gather by the fire and relive the best moments. Just a casual family reunion, right? A reunion with bulletin boards and gluten-free lasagna. I was the first to arrive. Nobody expected me to actually be on time. I used to be the one they were always waiting on. This time, I showed up a day early. Just to double-check everything. No excuses. The property manager, Melinda, met me at the gate and handed me the keys and a map. "Everything's ready, Mr. Walker. Kitchen stocked, sound systems tested, gifts are in the office. And the hoodies, they're in the main lounge." "Hoodies?" I asked. "Yes, the custom sweatshirts. You ordered them, right?" "Technically, yes. I wired the money. Based on a list Rachel had sent me. My sister. Keeper of family traditions and collector of sarcastic Christmas cards." I walked into the lounge and opened the box. Each hoodie was folded neatly, tags facing up. Rachel, Queen Bee. Chase, family legend. Mom, the heart. Dad, the backbone. And, of course, Ethan, not quite family. I didn't even notice I'd sat down. I just held the hoodie in my lap like it weighed 50 pounds. Black, thick cotton. White embroidery. Not quite family. I was 34, ran a chain of auto repair shops across the West Coast, just closed a $12 million investment round for my logistics startup. But to them? Still the kid who never quite lived up to the hype. While I was staring at the hoodie, my phone rang. "Hey, we're almost at the turnoff," Rachel said cheerfully. Like nothing was off. "Hope you didn't drive the chef crazy with your plate arrangement spreadsheet." "Everything's according to plan," I said. "Even the hoodies." "Oh, you saw those? Don't freak out. It's just a joke." "It's fine, Ratch. See you soon." I hung up. And realized it wasn't fine. An hour later, the whole circus rolled in. My parents, Harry and Deborah. Dad in his leather slides, Mom with a tight bun and a forced smile. Chase, my little brother, failed stand-up comic, showed up in a rented Tesla like that somehow made him cool. Rachel, big sister, influencer, 2 kids, husband glued to his phone. "There's our golden boy." Mom beamed, kissing my cheek. "You really pulled it all together. This is awesome." Chase clapped me on the back. "Feels like freakin' Yellowstone out here. Hope we survive the wealth." I smiled, barely. We moved out to the porch. Snacks were set, iced tea ready, music humming in the background. Perfect. Too perfect. "Ratch, go grab the hoodies?" Mom asked. Rachel grinned, disappeared inside, came back with the box. "Mini ceremony time," she said. "Ethan paid, we might as well open them like it's Christmas." They started handing them out. Laughing. Taking selfies. Pulling hoodies over dresses and polos. Everyone had theirs on. It was breezy by the lake, even in summer. I stayed in my shirt. Family legend. Chase shouted, spinning like he'd won a prize. Queen bee, Rachel said, fixing her hair. Nailed it. Mine was last. I didn't put it on. Just held it. Come on, Dad said. Let's see the not quite family hoodie. Funny, huh? I asked. Looking right at them. The laughter died instantly. Just a joke, Rachel said, draining her wine. You're not gonna sulk, right? I nodded. Folded the hoodie. Put it back in the box. Nah. Great joke. I'm just gonna check something inside. Carry on. I walked away. Not to my room. To the office. To the envelopes. Each labeled. Each planned. Every detail thought through. But now I knew what was actually going to happen. I stood in the office, staring at the envelopes. They were lined up perfectly on the oak desk, like artifacts, not paper. Neatly labeled folders, each one carrying a small, invisible weight. Inside, a fully paid-off mortgage for my parents. A year of rent for Rachel and her kids in Seattle. A grant for Chase to launch his fantasy auto podcast, if he ever decided to actually do something. And a signed donation agreement in Dad's name to a veterans fund. Because he used to talk about doing that. Back when he still talked to me like I mattered. I even chose different colors for the folders, thought it'd make it feel more personal. Saturday night, after dinner, by the fire. That was the plan. Mom in her blanket, Dad nursing his bourbon, the kids playing. I'd stand up, clear my throat, and say, "You always said I don't know how to share. Well, here's me sharing." But after that hoodie, not quite family, after the laughs, the little looks, the way no one blinked. I knew. They didn't want anything from me. Except the chance to laugh behind my back. Those words, not quite family. I'd heard them before. Not directly. More like whispered versions of it when they thought I couldn't hear. Back when they'd forget to pick me up from school. When Mom told Dad, he just doesn't quite fit. Almost love. Almost family. Almost enough. I grabbed the folders and walked out. The porch was buzzing. Chase had the music cranked, kids screaming on the grass, Dad grilling steaks like he was trying to impress Gordon Ramsay. Mom was setting out cloth napkins with stitched initials she claimed to hate but was now willing to be open-minded about. I sat down. No one noticed I wasn't wearing my hoodie. Then I pulled out the first folder. Ripped it in half. Nobody reacted at first. I tore up the second one. Then the third. The crisp sound of thick paper breaking echoed like dry ice cracking. Rachel went quiet. "Ethan. What are you doing?" I didn't answer. Just kept going. Stamps. Signatures. Seals. Torn down the middle. "Wait, dude, is that, like, important stuff?" Chase finally asked, stepping closer. Dad put down the tongs. "Ethan, stop. What's going on? Are you okay?" I set the shredded papers on the table. "Dinner's great," I said. "Hope it's everything you wanted." And walked away. No one followed me. Not down the path. Not to the car. The first call came in before I even turned the ignition. Rachel. Declined. Then Chase. Then Mom. "Please come back. You're overreacting." Sure. I misunderstood. Misunderstood childhood. Misunderstood when Dad said, "Some kids just don't push hard enough." Misunderstood when Mom told Rachel, "Ethan just doesn't know how to be grateful." Misunderstood when Chase, on a podcast episode, said, "Every family has one messed up sibling, ours is Ethan." I drove in silence. 30 minutes in, I got a text from Emma, my assistant. "You're not answering." Do I delay the ink piece? I wrote back. No. Publish it. Add the document scans. The next morning, 8:14 a.m., the article went live. The Sunday wrote off, how Ethan Walker built a $30 million business, helped his family in secret, and finally walked away. I chose the photo myself, no tie, just me in front of the old garage in Ohio where it started. I laid it all out. No drama. Just facts. The anonymous payments. The medical bills. The education fund for the nieces and nephews. The day I planned to tell them all. And the hoodie that said everything I needed to know. The scans were there too. Sticky notes still attached, Mom, paid in full. Dad, donation signed. Rachel, apartment fund. Chase, startup capital. The internet noticed. Comments started pouring in. This is the coldest family I've ever heard of. He didn't walk away. He finally stood up. Not quite family. Dude, that just became a badge of honor. 2 hours later, Chase texted me. Really, bro? You threw us under the bus like that? What, for clout? Real mature. Then came Rachel's Facebook post. Some people just don't know how to be part of a family. No matter how much you give, they still leave. She attached the dinner photo. Everyone in hoodies. Except me. Most of the comments backed her. Until someone dropped the article link in the thread. That evening, I got a call from a college buddy. Bro, your story feels like a Netflix special. I laughed, I cried. When's the book coming? I said I wasn't writing one. But I realized, I already had. That night, I was in a hotel in Reno. Neon outside. One folder left on the table. I'd forgotten it in my bag. It was addressed to me. Inside, one letter, written the night before the reunion. It started. If they don't accept you, don't get angry. Just let go. Because you already won. I smiled. And checked the box next to done. I was always the weird one. Not in a cool, mysterious way, just inconvenient. Too quiet. Too intense. Too much, or not enough. Depends on the day. When Rachel was getting Best Smile awards in school, I was in the basement fixing the boiler. You're always tinkering with stuff, Mom would say. Might as well make yourself useful. When Chase flunked his exams, Mom called the school to say, he's creative. Rigid systems don't work for him. When I brought home B's, they'd go, well, you're not really the artsy one, so, maybe try harder. I was 9 when I first realized that being part of my family felt like showing up to a party no one invited you to, except they still expected you to bring snacks. Around age 10, I first heard the phrase, not quite family. Half joking. Half whispered. Almost affectionate. Almost. It stuck. Like it was my label. A trial version of belonging they never fully activated. By 11, I had a job at Mr. Jenkins's garage. Washing tires. Sweeping driveways. Dropping off parts. School until 3, work until dark. Mom said it was great. Builds character. Not everyone gets to be a social media star. Translation, they didn't want to pay for my school stuff. When Chase's tablet broke, he had a new one in 24 hours. When my sneakers ripped, Dad said, you work at a garage. Figure it out. So I did. Glued the sole with superglue. Slipped on a curb. Sprained my wrist. ER visit. No one cared. Mr. Jenkins. First adult who treated me like a real person. Not perfect, but fair. You work harder than any kid I know, he told me. Just don't try to be like them. You're better. He gave me his old laptop. I used it to study logistics online. While other kids were watching prank videos, I was mapping delivery routes and learning supply chains. I was 15. No one noticed. I showed one of my early plans to Rachel once. She laughed. "Oh wow, look who's going to NASA." Chase added, "Try cleaning your room first, Einstein." I graduated top 5 in my class. No one showed up to the ceremony. Dad had a big work call. Mom was held up at church. Rachel never even texted. Only one there. Mr. Jenkins. He brought me a donut. "They'll say they supported you one day," he told me. "They just won't remember when." I picked a state college in Nevada. Not for status, for the night mechanic program and free co-working space. I worked nights. Studied days. Survived on ramen. Did my reading in the dorm bathroom because it was the warmest room with a door. My first money came from this busted inventory app one built for local auto shops. Ugly, but cheaper than what they were using. I sold it for $4,000 at age 22. Didn't tell a soul. Then came my first repair shop. A literal dump. Concrete floor. Flickering lights. Dead coffee machine. Turned a profit in a year. Then landed a contract with a small chain. Then another. And back home. Radio silence. I told Mom I bought the building. Her first question, "You sure you saved for taxes?" Dad said, "Just don't let it go to your head." I found out they were in trouble through a neighbor. Not them. Dad's health. Mom's mortgage. I paid off their loan anonymously. When Rachel posted some sob story on Facebook about being a struggling single mom, I covered 3 months' rent. Sent it through a fake nonprofit. Chase. He asked directly. "Hey bro, spot me a couple grand. Starting a car podcast. It's gonna crush." I sent it. He bought a mic. Then sold it. Drank the rest. Every single time, I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe now they'll say something. "We're proud of you. Sorry we didn't see it before." But all I got were jabs. "Oh, look who still doesn't have a +1. Late again. Must be building the next Amazon." They needed me to be almost successful. So I'd keep coming back. Keep earning. Keep hoping. That's what Tahoe was about. I really believed, like an idiot, that if I brought everyone together in one place, gave them gifts, fed them well, showed them who I became, maybe they'd finally see me. Not as the weird one. Not as a project. Just me. A son. A brother. Family. Instead, I got a hoodie. Not quite family. That night, after the article dropped, I got an anonymous email. No subject. No name. Just one sentence. "You did everything you could. You just weren't their project." I didn't respond. But I read it 10 times. When I turned off my phone, they turned on their megaphones. Full volume. First up, like clockwork, was Rachel. She posted a photo from the dinner, the one where everyone's smiling like nothing happened. Her caption. "Some people just don't know how to be part of a family. We're praying for him. We'll always love him, even if he's chosen to walk away." Hundreds of likes. The comments split between "so sad" and "what happened." Rachel replied with vague saint-like energy, "He chose distance. We tried our best to make him feel loved." But then, someone, probably a distant cousin, dropped the link to the Inc. article in the comments. And suddenly, the vibe shifted. One person wrote, "Wait, he paid the mortgage." Another, "Didn't you guys call him not quite family when he was like 10? Rachel didn't respond to any of that. But the post vanished soon after. Of course, screenshots had already made it to Reddit and Twitter. Over on Twitter, Chase chimed in with his usual grace. Sad when money can't fix a broken soul. Some people stay messed up no matter what. He added a broken heart emoji and hashtag family first, which the internet immediately turned into a joke. I got sent at least 3 memes that day. One of them nailed it, a screenshot of Rachel's praying for him post next to, he paid your rent. You posted a selfie. Mom and Dad joined the chorus later. Calling around. Spinning their version. Dad told our uncle in Texas, he blew all that money just to make us look bad. Who does that? We didn't deserve this. Mom told our aunt in Arkansas, he just cut everyone off. No warning, no letter. Just that article. Maybe he's just not good at forgiveness. Relatives I'd been sending anonymous holiday gifts to started sending weird, cautious messages. Hey, hope you're okay. Didn't realize things were rough with your parents. One cousin straight up texted, bro, I thought you were just a weirdo. Turns out you're a legend. A couple days later, someone posted in our hometown's Facebook group. Screenshot of the article. Caption, when they call you not quite family for decades, and then act shocked when you leave. The comments were a mixed bag, but the theme was clear, people weren't mad I walked away. They were mad I told the story. And here's the wildest part, not once, did Mom, Dad, Rachel, or Chase deny a single fact from that article. Not a, he didn't pay. Not a, that's not true. They just tried to convince everyone I was having a meltdown. That I was going through a phase. That the guy in the article wasn't really me. My old high school teacher called me, I read it. Never would have guessed. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here. It was surreal. For the first time ever, people actually heard me, because I finally stopped yelling. I sat there in a Reno motel, eating overly salty mac and cheese, staring at my screen, thinking, I really believed they'd change if I just did enough. If I gave enough. Paid enough. Proved enough. Then they'd accept me. But no. Acceptance wasn't coming. Just a new narrative, where I'm the villain. Or the crazy one. Or the sensitive guy who couldn't take a joke. I thought silence would give them time to reflect. But silence is just space they can fill with their version of me. They didn't try to reach out. No apologies. No olive branches. Except for one card, from Mom. No note. Just a quote printed on the front. Even the prodigal son came home. I tossed it. Didn't even finish opening it. They wanted me quiet. Wanted me to stay inside the house and not air the laundry. All I did was leave the house. And for once, I didn't look back. The incorporated interview dropped 3 days after the dinner. Not just an article, full cover story, the son no one heard. Ethan Walker's $30 million rise, his family, and the power of silence. The editor messaged me at midnight, we've never seen a response like this. If you want a follow-up, the whole issue's yours. But I wasn't looking for a sequel. I needed an ending. Or maybe just a bold underline. In the interview, I said things most people reserve for therapy. Like how I used to sit in the basement and hear my family laugh upstairs about how slow I was. How my dad once told someone, that kid. Not one of ours. Must have come from a different batch. The journalist asked why I hadn't spoken up sooner. I told her, because I kept trying to earn their love quietly. We shot the photos in my shop. Me in a worn work shirt, hands still streaked with grease, standing next to an old lift and a chalkboard that read, Friday equals Honesty Day. It was meant as a joke, but somehow, it fit. By the next day, the piece had exploded. Screenshots, TikToks, Reddit threads. One post read, when you've been benched your whole life, but now you own the stadium. Someone sent me a photo of a barista's apron embroidered with a line from the article, sometimes you don't lose your family. You just stop playing their game. Then things escalated. First came a formal email from my dad's lawyer. Polite on the surface, Mr. Walker is concerned about potential damage to his reputation. We kindly request that you refrain from further public commentary. I replied with one line, ask him to point out one thing in the article that isn't true. Next, a producer from Chase's old podcast called. So, we're thinking of pushing his episode back. Just until this blows over. I said, no worries. He's used to pushing things off. That evening, I got a message from a guy I barely knew in college. You don't know this, but I grew up with parents like yours. Your story. I showed it to my wife. She cried. The emails started pouring in. People telling me they finally walked away from toxic families. That they started therapy. That they sent the article to their siblings. One guy even got a tattoo of my quote. Creepy and kind of beautiful. And the weird part? I didn't feel angry. Not once. I didn't want anyone fired or cancelled or ruined. I just wanted the truth to be out there. Loud enough that I didn't have to carry it alone. A news blog ran a piece, "The Ethan Walker Story Sparks National Talk About Emotional Abuse in Middle-Class Families." A non-profit reached out. Asked me to speak at a conference on family toxicity. I said no. I'm not a speaker. I'm just someone who got tired of being quiet. That Friday, I went back to where it all started, my first garage. Now it's run by a team I hired myself. 5 guys from different towns, all of them with their own backstories. One used to fix cars in a trailer park. One burned out in tech and found peace under a hood. They were building a platform, an app that connects independent auto shops into one shared network. I walked past them, sat in my usual corner, and opened my beat-up old laptop. There was a new email. From Mom. No subject. Just one line. Do you really think this makes you feel better? I read it. Closed the tab. Typed a reply, yes. Then deleted the draft. Sometimes the win is knowing you don't have to respond. It all started with silence. Not mine, theirs. A few days passed after the article dropped. Nothing. No rage. No apologies. Not even a half-baked attempt at damage control. Just this, void. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like filling it. But the ripple effects. They came fast, and not for me. Rachel's perfect family image cracked first. I found out from a mutual friend who sent me a screenshot of her Instagram story, a glass of wine with the caption, "It's a lot lately." Then her husband Greg posted on his own account. Sometimes you realize what you thought was love was just performance. I'm tired of being the audience. I'm leaving. Hashtag Truth Matters. Comments. Disabled. The next day, Rachel's account vanished. All her family photos, gone. The holiday snapshots, the marshmallow fire pic from dinner, wiped. Her bio now just said, "Just a mom." No caption. Chase got hit a little later. He was set to appear on a major podcast about building a personal brand. His big break. He'd hyped it for weeks, countdown posts, teaser stories, the whole thing. Then someone on the production team found the article. 2 days later, he disappeared from the lineup. Quietly. The newsletter just read, "Guest schedule update due to editorial standards." He messaged me, "Hope you're happy. You ruined everything." For what? I didn't reply. Not because I didn't want to. Because I knew anything I said would just give him something to twist around. And I'm done explaining myself. News about my parents came through my lawyer. They tried refinancing their house. Denied. The bank cited reputational risk. Later, Someone from a charity I'd donated to, under Dad's name, reached out. "Hi, we got a request to cancel the donor account. Just checking, everything okay?" I said, "No more donations from that name. It was my mistake." And that was it. No drama. No announcement. I just stopped being their walking wallet. I moved to Boulder. Found a little place on a hill. Not because I love Colorado. Just wanted new air. Mornings on the porch with coffee and books I'd put off for years. No calls. No transfers. Just quiet. Sometimes I'd take road trips with no plan. Utah. Arizona. A few random turns just to feel the change. I started writing letters to myself, not journaling. More like reminders. Stuff like, "You made your choice. You got out. Don't go back." At a gas station one day, a woman in her 40s stared at me a little too long. I almost asked if something was wrong when she said, "You're Ethan, right?" From the article. I recognized the photo. I left my family 3 days after reading it. Because you said what I couldn't. I didn't know what to say. Just nodded. Sometimes freedom doesn't look like fireworks. Sometimes it's just the absence of noise. A silence that doesn't tell you who you're supposed to be. And that's enough. I didn't cheer when their world cracked. I didn't celebrate. I just finally understood, I wasn't responsible for keeping them afloat. Their sinking ship wasn't my storm anymore. Mine had already passed. The message came on a rainy Wednesday. I was standing in line for coffee somewhere in Idaho when my phone buzzed. Not a call, just a notification. An email sent through the contact form on the company site. "I don't know if you'll even read this. But I just wanted to say thank you. You showed me that it's okay to leave. That I don't have to feel guilty for not meeting everyone else's expectations. Thank you for choosing yourself." No last name. No photo. Just the sender's first name, Laura. I read it 3 times. And for the first time in a long time, I just stood there. I didn't overthink a reply. Didn't spiral into guilt. I just stood there and smiled. I don't live my life chasing approval anymore. That realization didn't hit me like a truck. It was gentler than that. Like fresh air after years in a basement. I don't need to prove I'm worthy. I already did, to myself. That evening, I went back to the little Airbnb I'd rented for the week. Cozy place. Old fireplace, creaky floors, a wooden table that had seen things. I pulled out the box I'd carried since Tahoe, the one with all the torn-up papers. The ones I'd ripped in front of my family. I held them again. And this time, I didn't feel pain. No shame. No rage. Just this strange calm. Like closing a door you finally realize you're never walking through again. I put the papers back, not with bitterness, but with respect. Not for them. For me. For the part of me that tried. That gave. That cared. Later, I took a walk. The rain had picked up, but I didn't mind. I passed a local school where kids had drawn with chalk all over the pavement. One drawing stopped me in my tracks, a little house, a sun, and the words, "You are enough." I snapped a photo. Yeah, maybe it's cheesy. But it hit something. That's my mantra now. I am enough. Even if I never hear it from my family. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of anxiety, but because of everything running through my head. I remembered the garage back in Ohio. My first laptop. Mr. Jenkins telling me I wasn't one of them, I was better. I didn't believe him then. Now. I do. The next day, I texted Emma, "Let's finally launch that project. Remember the one we talked about last year?" The Center for Teens Who Don't Have Support. She replied almost immediately, took you long enough. I already found a space. Sometimes acceptance isn't about forgiveness. It's about momentum. Forward. Toward yourself. Not back to the people who couldn't see you, but ahead, to the ones who will. And yeah, I put together new envelopes. Not with checks. With letters. Letters we'll send to those teens. Stuff like, you are not a mistake. You are worthy. You are not alone. Sometimes it just takes one person who dares to walk away. So someone else can realize, they can, too. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who finally said, enough. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. 2 years went by. Everything changed, and at the same time, nothing really did. I still wake up early. I still drink my coffee black. I still check my email first thing, but now, it's out of habit, not anxiety. My family's numbers are long gone. Like outdated apps I finally deleted. In that time, I hit 16 different states. Lived in a van. Then a penthouse. Slept to the sound of ocean waves, and once, to howling coyotes. I gave a guest lecture at a college in Colorado. Afterward, this nervous student, couldn't stop apologizing, came up to me and said, I saw your interview. I left my family, too. But the thing that actually changed me wasn't the travel. It was an invitation. Mark, my college roommate, asked me to come to his wedding. Nothing fancy. Backyard in the suburbs of Portland. Ukulele music. Smell of baked bread in the air. I showed up in jeans and a jacket. No plans to talk to anyone but Mark and his bride. Then she walked over. Short hair. Confident stride. Maybe early 30s. Excuse me, she said. Is it you? I raised an eyebrow. Me? You're the guy. From the interview. The story about your family. Ethan Walker. I nodded. A little awkward. Recognition always hits like a soft punch to the gut. She smiled. I just wanted to say thank you. I read your story when I was going through hell. My family, they called it love, but really it was just control. Guilt. Shame. I didn't say anything. I just listened. When I read your article, she went on, I realized I wasn't crazy. That what I was feeling had a name. I left. Stopped apologizing. Moved. Now I work at a crisis center. Help other people do the same. She paused. Then said, I know this might sound weird, but, your story felt like permission. Permission to live my own life. I laughed. For real. Not out of politeness. Not because it was awkward. But because, for once, something just felt right. That's not weird, I said. Honestly, it's probably the most important thing I've ever done. That night, I went back to the motel. Nothing fancy. But it had a good lamp by the bed. I pulled out my notebook, the one I used to fill with budgets, launch dates, business ideas. Now it's filled with half-finished sentences. Notes to kids I've never met. Things I wish someone had said to me. On the last page, I wrote, you don't have to carry people who are dragging you under. I closed the notebook. Looked out the window. Just a regular corner, pharmacy, car wash, empty street. But to me, it looked like freedom. Like a life I actually chose. My phone lit up again. Another donation to the teen center Emma and I started. I smiled. Not because life got easier. But because, for the first time ever, I wasn't clinging to people who never reached back. If you made it this far, thank you. Seriously. This wasn't just a story about a broken family or a hoodie with a cruel joke on it. This was about choosing yourself. Even when it feels selfish. Even when they tell you you're the problem. I'm not a hero. I didn't burn the bridge. I just stopped rebuilding the one they kept walking away from. If you're out there, wondering if it's okay to stop carrying everyone else's expectations. Yeah. It's okay. If this story meant something to you, hit the like. Subscribe if you want more real stories like this. And hey, drop a comment. Even if it's just a single word, enough. Because sometimes, enough is all we ever needed to hear.